And Johnny, let's close out the podcast with a MCU topic. We're moving back into it. Before we get into everything, make sure and rate the podcast on iTunes and Apple Podcasts. Every 5-star rating really helps us out. So go ahead and rate and review the podcast today. Even if you're on YouTube, because I know you have an Apple account that even if you're on Android, you haven't used the Apple account in like 5 years, but you have it for some reason. Go ahead and rate the podcast on iTunes and Apple Podcasts. Yeah, Johnny, we get it. You're anti-Apple.
I don't have one because they got rid of iTunes.
Well, no. They got rid of iTunes on Mac. Pete told me about that. Like on PC, you can still get iTunes.
That's weird.
So it's just for Mac users because I guess the new software has something different. But we're talking about Scarlet Witch Wanda. As I can't say her last name because I always mess it up. But we're talking about Scarlet Witch, her role, what it's going to be in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And to start this off, I got a quote from Kevin Feige. Maximoff, that's it. I was thinking in my head, like, I couldn't think of it off the top, and I was like, I think it's something that I usually mess up. No, I just am stupid and couldn't remember what her last name was. So, the rumor is that Marvel is going to retcon Scarlet Witch for Doctor Strange 2. And in an interview with Comic Book back in 2015, Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige compared Scarlet Witch's powers to Doctor Strange, where he said her powers, she's never had any training. I'm talking about Scarlet Witch. Mm-hmm. She never had any training. She's figuring it out. Arguably, you could say that that's why her powers are much more chaotic and much more loose in the way that she showcased that we showcase those light effects. In Doctor Strange, some of what you might see today, even the cover of Entertainment Weekly, it's much tighter. It's all about focus. It's about pulling energies from other dimensions in an organized and purposeful fashion, which is why they can do a lot more than she can in at least a much more precise way. And really what they're going into is that, so she was introduced as a miracle. We all know why, because they couldn't say mutant. She kind of changed in Phase 3, in a sense. Marvel Phase 3 slate of films. The focus has almost always been upon Wanda's telekinesis, and she's been portrayed as one of the most powerful Avengers. Thanos even had to sacrifice his own troops in order to escape her telekinetic grasp. And then last but not least, with the retcon, really she's been one where she's at her most powerful when she kind of loses control in a sense. Where basically, if she's focused, she's strong but not super strong. It's when she lets all of her, kind of like a Jean Grey, Dark Phoenix situation. Yeah. When she lets go and doesn't hold back, she's very powerful. How do you think, the question I'm going to ask you is, how should Marvel retcon Scarlet Witch if they're going to in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness?
So I got like a dual thing that both play in the same way. Necessarily, that just comes down to details.
Okay,
it's going to be
semantics.
It kind of semantic-ish. So you and I were discussing it just so I can get the timeline right. We're going to have WandaVision before Doctor Strange 2.
Yes. So
which
how it works,
they can help start setting that up in WandaVision, because we all know that Marvel.
See, I don't know now.
They can.
They're so close to where technically, if I'm going off of the picture, now that I look at it, technically Doctor Strange is a little bit to the left of WandaVision. So there's a possibility Doctor Strange could come out before.
Okay. Well,
so they could retcon her before WandaVision, but really, spring 2021 could mean anything.
Yeah, that's true. So let's say if it comes out beforehand, they can start setting that up in WandaVision, or if she's in Doctor Strange 2, help that set up WandaVision.
Which one would you pick if you were Marvel?
I would go. I could go either way on that.
Which are you hoping for?
I could go either. Honestly, I can go either way on that because the one could like
bisexual. That's the joke, Ted.
That's the joke, Ted. Because what WandaVision can do is help set up why she needs to go help Doctor Strange. But if you have Doctor Strange 2 first, that can help like how Vision's alive again. I could set up it either way, one or the other, to help that out, either one out.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna do is like, let's say, either way, let's say she comes over to Wanda. Let's say it's WandaVision comes first. She comes over to Wanda. He comes to Wanda, and comes in like, I need your help. And Vision goes, I don't know how I'm supposed to help you. He goes, not you, RoboCop.
Not you, RoboCop. Her.
I need her. And she'll go be out her attitude. How am I supposed to help you? Blah, blah, blah. Come on, let's go.
That. Yeah,
and maybe even like it was like a Thor or a Tony said, I'm taking you with me on this, not only so you can help me, so I can help you start handling your powers better.
Yeah, I mean,
sort of a dual thing.
I think the whole thing I would do, and yet again, one thing I'll read off is, of course, if Scarlet Witch's powers are indeed magical in nature, then clearly there's a lot more to them than just telepathy and telekinesis. Furthermore, even raw and untrained, she's operating on a scale unseen by the master of the mystic arts. For all Doctor Strange's power, he was never able to harm Thanos in the way Wanda did. And there's no indication he could have single-handedly destroyed an Infinity Stone either.
Exactly.
It's possible that Strange sensed Wanda's potential when he fought alongside her in the battle at the Avengers compound. Alternatively, Wanda may demonstrate supernatural abilities in the WandaVision series, which is confirmed to tie in to Doctor Strange 2 somehow. Either way, the stage is set for Doctor Strange 2 to see Stephen Strange forced to work with a woman whose abilities could far exceed his own. Here's what I want to see, because in the comics, although she's a mutant, she's kind of a sorceress in the comics. And when it came to Marvel, they didn't really dive into her being they call her a miracle. They didn't dive into her being a sorceress because they didn't really know how that supernatural would like fit with people or how it would land.
Yeah.
Now after Doctor Strange 2 being like, oh, okay, people are now okay with it. It's been established. Now they could move over more into like her sorcery side of things. The question that I ask myself is, obviously we're retconning Wanda to set her up as a mutant. That's the only reason in my mind we're retconning her, is so that now we could set her up as a mutant, tell stories between her and Magneto, like that first meeting and everything there. I wonder if the reason why they're doing it in Doctor Strange 2 is, and this is, for me, if Doctor Strange 2 comes out first. So she's in Doctor Strange 2. Steven's going to like take her on almost, or need her help, either way.
One of the two, yeah.
But kind of teach her, like, okay, I've seen you, like, we fought alongside. I feel like I could help you. Because Steven at this point is thinking of it as she's one of me using magic and it's all supernatural. But what we learned through that movie is, oh shit, her powers, they're kind of supernatural, but they're coming from within her. Like, it's not the same as Doctor Strange.
Where he's pulling it from outside energy.
Where she's pulling it from herself.
He's manipulating where she is
actually creating.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I think we kind of lean on in that, to where then when you jump into WandaVision, where yes, it dives into them bringing Vision back, But maybe then that could focus more in on, okay, now I know my powers are coming from me. Like, what am I? And that's where you can, like, that might be the first time either the Doctor Strange 2 movie or the WandaVision series, the first time we hear the word mutant in an MCU property.
Yeah.
And that's the thing where I'll ask you, do they do it in the series? Do they do it in the movie? Where they kind of, which one would you have the movie end? Because I'm already going crazy, not going to happen kind of theories where it's like throughout the Doctor Strange movie, we see her basically be the, oh my God, the powers are coming from me. What am I? Post-credit scene, you just hear a voice and see just a red and purple hand. And basically it's Magneto. Or you let the WandaVision series play out. Last episode of WandaVision, you introduce Magneto.
It's either after credit scene or sometime in the WandaVision.
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna do it in the actual movie itself for Doctor Strange 2. Let's say that one. Let's say that one comes first, but you're gonna show like along the line of like him and her both noticing more and more. There's like, okay, your powers aren't quite like mine, like I thought.
Yeah.
Like maybe he'll like at one point throw her the sling ring and say, "Okay, open it up,"
and she won't
can't
be able to. Yeah.
Because she's not manipulating it the same way he is.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's like, you're powerful enough, but at this point, go ahead, open it up. She puts it on and just, she's trying like what he does, but she can't open up a portal.
Yeah.
Some shit like that. It's like
what's going on here kind of a thing. Or is it going to be basically I'm not going to teach you, I just need your help.
Yeah.
And through fighting together, fighting Nightmare.
Realizing this is not the same.
Yeah,
powers.
I thought your powers were the same, but they have not, like, they are not the same as what I'm dealing with.
Yeah. In one of the two ways. Either way, I think it's gonna be like a slow, like throughout the movie, realizing, okay, her powers are not quite like mine.
Yeah, because the article even goes on to say, if Doctor Strange 2 is indeed Kevin Feige's promised retcon, then comic book readers will know Strange should be very careful. This change would move the MCU's Scarlet Witch a lot closer to the comics, and their Wanda is as unstable as she is powerful. Doctor Strange once feared Wanda's powers so much that he cast her into an enchanted sleep. Even that didn't last. Worse still, there have already been hints of this instability within the MCU's Scarlet Witch, which has consistently stressed that Wanda is more powerful when her emotions are out of control. It's an inconvenience that the titular madness of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is actually Scarlet Witch's. Do you believe that? The reason why they're calling it the Multiverse of Madness, like multiverse, because we've got Nightmare, and he might be kind of manipulating Doctor Strange and pulling him through different multiverses. Could the madness actually be Scarlet Witch and her uncontainable, out of control powers?
Could be that. Could I'm trying to think. Because the Multiverse of Madness, it could be that. It could be I don't know how to describe it.
Because I always thought Multiverse of Madness was just, Nightmare is going to make things so fucking weird that it's just like, it's madness. Ooh,
that's what I thought at first. It's like jumping from, because I thought at first it was going to be a jumping from multiverse to multiverse.
Yeah.
And just like the massive amount of what the fuck is going on, what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Now I'm wondering if it's going to be like the two of them team up at first, whether it's under his wing or just teaming up, and they're chasing after Nightmare. What if Nightmare sort of like implants in her head for a time in the, like, from end of Act 1 till beginning of Act 2, or not, mid Act 2?
Yeah.
Just to make things interesting, kind of in her head of like slowly like the decay in a sense of like her sanity because Doctor Strange is used to that stuff at this point.
Mm-hmm.
She's not.
Yeah.
So
she's like, whoa, what the fuck is this?
They'll be jumping from multiverse to multiverse, or what do they call it? Multiverse of Madness, right?
Yeah.
They'll be jumping from multiverse to multiverse until finally, like, maybe it's too much for her, and the little implanting of him doing like shit in her head gets to her, and
kind of like how the Sorcerer Supreme did with Doctor Strange in the first one, where she was like, when she like put him in the glass dimension almost, where it's
I was saying more so like when she his chest and like
astrally
sent him throughout different like multiverses.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what they're going to be actually doing this time, is like physically jumping from multiverse to multiverse.
That'd be so fucking weird.
And it would just, it's like becoming a little bit too much for her, where it's like it's making her shaky, where Doctor Strange is like, okay, this is just another day for me now. And then you got Nightmare in her head, like throwing the thing like, Vision's dead because Doctor Strange couldn't stop Thanos.
Yeah, and
one of those type of things, slowly like decaying the madness, and like could you imagine having a Wanda Doctor Strange fight in the part of the movie?
That'd be weird. Like he would have to go up against her, and then that's where he'd be like, "Whoa, she's fucking powerful.
She's powerful." Put her in that sleep where he finally takes out Nightmare, and then they bring her back and lead into the WandaVision thing.
So the thing I completely forgot about is, and this kind of
to hit record, because that would be awful.
No, we're recording.
I just had to play around with that.
But this is from April. Okay. I completely forgot about this because, like, I didn't think at the time it was enough to kind of be like, okay, we've got some traction for this, because the WandaVision series we never like had anything for. But this is back from April. Speaking to Variety at the Avengers Endgame premiere, Olsen said that the series will draw on multiple comic book stories and cited the 50s aesthetic of a promo image shown at the recent Disney Investors webcast, which was not seen publicly. There's quite a few comic book stories we're pulling from, Olsen told Variety when asked about the name WandaVision. It's going to be Wanda and Vision. I think at the Disney Plus launch chat, they showed a photo of us in the 50s, and I think that's a good teaser. It's going to be really fun, which I think is Wanda it's either two things pop into my head. Either Wanda learns how to jump between multiverses, or because we've already established, maybe by multiverse, we're diving into more so what was established in Endgame, in a sense, where multiverse isn't like DC, because DC is like there's Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth 3, Earth 4, Earth 5. Where in Marvel, multiverse could just mean, like, for example, when Thor went back to Thor the Dark World in Avengers Endgame, where now there's two Thors in that, where it's not technically time travel, but it's jumping multiverses. Is there a chance that either A, Wanda learns how to jump multiverses through Doctor Strange 2 in that movie, or 2, does she get lost in a multiverse?
That'd be interesting, too.
And it's the vision that we see in WandaVision isn't her vision, it's the vision of that multiverse, which would make sense why he's alive. Because maybe Vision didn't die in that multiverse. Vision would be alive in the 50s.
Could be.
Well, wasn't created in the 50s, which would be interesting, which plays into also when the hell is it coming out? Because Disney Plus comes out this November. They could really drop that before or after. If they drop it before, then it kind of like it would almost have to be after in that sense. It's like, in your mind, what do you think of if it's taking place in a 50s aesthetic, in maybe a 50s time period? Is she learning how to jump multiverses? Is it affecting, like, or does that make you the face that you're making of like, what the fuck are we doing at that point?
Yeah, I don't understand the 50s thing. I've been trying to think of what it could be. And like, even if it's jumping multiverses, you gotta think, like, when we were showed multiverses, there was Dormammu's dimension, the dark dimension as they called it. There was the mirror dimension. There was this, like, he was thrown through a bunch of ones where, like, there were a bunch of hands coming out of his hands, coming out of his hands. And I get that. That was his astral form doing that. But still, it's like, what's going on? Like, this is not like dimension. And it could be like those aren't all the dimensions. It could be like there's a dimension of, oh, well, everything's kind of set backwards where like it's still the 50s then, but everything that is going on then is also going on in that time. It just happens to be a 50 setting. Some shit like that. Maybe. I don't know. That one I still can't explain of like what they're trying to go with on that.
Yeah, I'm looking here. This is from comicbookreviewcbr.com. And two of the things they throw out as possible stories that they could be pulling off of for WandaVision. One is, so the first is The Vision and the Scarlet Witch, which ran for 2 miniseries. The first in 1982, the second in 1985. Both series centered around the married heroes leaving the Avengers and settling down in the suburbs. The comic put a heavy emphasis on their relationship together, eventually building to the birth of their sons, Tommy and William. The pair faced scrutiny, not just for Wanda's status as a mutant, but for being married to a robotic Vision. The series focused heavily on the familia element of the story, but the plot was eventually and tragically resolved in West Coast Avengers. That's where Vision was essentially reset and lost all emotions, while Tommy and William turned out to be magical constructs Wanda unknowingly created, only to be used as arms by Master Pandemonium. It is bonkers, trust us. The second series is the Eisner Award-winning Vision by Tom King and Mitch Gerads. Released in 2016, the comic only briefly includes Wanda in a supporting role. Instead, the series focuses heavily on Vision and the new robotic family he constructed for himself. The take to living in suburbia again, but the hatred for the synthetic people leads to multiple deaths, a cover-up, and Vision almost destroying the Avengers. The series ended on an unlikely bittersweet note, but with a touch of hope. While his wife Virginia and son Vin died, Vision's teenage daughter Viv managed to survive. She has even gone on to become a fairly major member of the current crop of Marvel team heroes. Neither of those explain the 1950s. So I feel like the big thing is, like I said earlier, to me, the only reason I'm retconning Scarlet Witch is to be able to use the word mutant and to make her a mutant. It's just, how do we get there? And I think with Doctor Strange 2, the big thing we're going to learn is, hey, your powers are mutant powers. Like, you are not a mystic arts. You are not using magic. There is something else with you.
You're not using magic like me, because I think hers are still considered magic.
Yeah, it's not like him. It's not mystic arts, we'll say.
Yeah.
Where then in WandaVision, we may learn through her relationship with Vision that, like, what are you? Oh, you're not a miracle. You are a mutant. Like, that is why you are able to generate them is because it is through your genes and you are a mutant, and WandaVision can be our first introduction.
You're creating, not manipulating.
Mutants. Yes. Any final thoughts before we wrap up the
No,
podcast?
this is going to be interesting when we finally get more shit about it.
Yeah, I know, right? Disney Plus in November. We're also going to see a lot more of Disney Plus in about 2 months. So while you're at Wizard World, for sure, that same weekend is D23.
Oh, okay.
Which they are going to have. We're going to get looks of Disney Plus. It's basically going to be like they're rolling out the Disney Plus bandwagon. Because then we wait 3 months and we get it 2 days after Dave's birthday, November 12th,
there you go.
is when Disney Plus drops. But let us know what you guys think down below of Vision, Doctor Strange 2, all this WandaVision madness down below. Also, if you're listening to the full podcast, The Flash, Spider-Man, what we talked about on the entire podcast, make sure to subscribe to Most Valuable Podcast Nerd. Hit us up on patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast, at War Machine 9085, at Ricky Widmer, at Most Valuable Pod on Twitter. And as always, have a good day, everybody.